over the next 3 days. More than 50,000 rounds will be fired. Pistols will be drawn from their holsters more than 8,000 times. And 275 of the world's fastest shooters will face 150 different targets. It's all for one purpose: to find out who is truly the fastest shooter in the world. Coming to you from the beautiful hills of West Thompson's Lake Piru Gun Club just north of Los Angeles, California. Hello, I'm Lenny McGill, and welcome to the 9th Annual World Speed Shooting Championships, the 1989 Steel Challenge. From the start, this pistol tournament has been one of the most exciting around, showcasing the shooter's abilities to draw his gun and hit steel targets in the shortest amount of time. Each stage has a throwaway run, allowing the shooter to make one mistake without affecting his overall score. This gives the competitor a cushion for error, which gives them the opportunity to let it all hang out and go for that blazing speed. For the TV audience, we will be showing only the runs that count, giving you the chance to see more shooters than before. This year, there are 7 pistol, 1 rifle, and 2 shotgun stages. The person with the lowest combined score on the pistol stages will win over $10,000 in cash and prizes, plus the good fortune of being called the fastest shooter in the world for the next year. The odds-on favorite is Chip McCormick, who last year became the first person to win this tournament twice. Other shooters to watch for are IPSC World Champion Rob Latham, Second Chance winner Jerry Michalik, the Yankee Cup winner Brian Enos, or maybe somebody new like Doug Koenig or Angelo Spagnoli. Now don't go away. Coming up is our first event, the Springfield Armory Go for Broke stage. To start the tournament this year, the organizers, yeah, that's those 2 guys there, John Madigan and Don Hamilton, have brought out a new stage to test the skill of the shooters, the Springfield Armory Go for Broke stage. In this event, the contestant stands in the first shooting box. Upon the start signal, the shooter draws and places 1 hit on each of the rectangular plates. The shooter then steps to the second shooting box and fires at the 3 remaining round plates, hitting the center stop plate last. Failure to hit the stop plate will result in a 30-second run. There is a 5-second penalty for each target not hit, a premature shot, each shot fired without both feet in the shooting box, and for each shot fired on the wrong target. Our first shooter is last year's Women's Steel Challenge winner, Susan Cooper from Roanoke, Virginia.
Stand by.
Susan Cooper had a fantastic 1988. Besides winning the 1988 Steel Challenge, she also won the Second Chance and placed second in the USPSA National Championship. Susan Cooper starts the defense of her crown with a fine time, 14.91 seconds. Now, coming up next is one of the top women IPSC shooters in the world, Shirley Hamilton from San Diego, California.
Stand by. Stand by.
Shirley Hamilton finishes with the fastest women's run so far, 4.68 seconds. That gives her a total time of 15.65 seconds. Our next shooter is also from San Diego, Tammy Starks. This is her first Steel Challenge. First-timers are referred to as Tyros and compete for an additional prize besides the standard awards.
Stand by. Stand by. Stand by.
Tammy Starks finishes the Springfield Armory with a total time of 20.32 seconds. Next up is one of the top speed shooters in the world, Angelo Spagnoli from San Francisco. Angelo is always one of the consistent top finishers here at the Steel Challenge.
Stand by. Stand by.
Spagnoli comes out smoking with a time of 10.49 seconds. Nice run, Angelo. Up next is one of the USPSA Gold Team members, Tammy Madigan. Last year, she finished in 5th place in the Steel Challenge and won the women's shoot-off.
Stand by.
Tammy Madigan, wife of match director John Madigan, finishes with a total time of 18.4 seconds. Next up, another woman shooter, Diane Lamb from Tucson, Arizona.
Stand by. Stand by.
Diane Lamb finishes the Springfield Armory Go for Broke stage with her fastest run. Her 3 runs add up to a total time of 15.14 seconds. Next up is Judy Smith from Miami, Florida. This is Judy's 2nd Steel Challenge.
Stand by. Stand by.
Judy Smith shoots a very consistent 3 runs. Her total time, 16.34 seconds. Now on the shooting line is the reigning world speed shooting champion, Chip McCormick from Texas. Chip became the first 2-time winner of the Steel Challenge last year. Chip lets it loose on that last run. That one was for the crowd. Chip McCormick has done what 6 world champions before him were unable to do. He is the first 2-time winner of the World Speed Shooting Championships, the 1988 Steel Challenge. Now that was last year. Let's see how Chip is shooting this year.
Stand by. Stand by. Stand by.
Chip McCormick starts off the defense of his crown with a fast time of 10.24 seconds. You can see that Chip wants to become the only 3-time world speed shooting champion. And speaking of champions, next up is the current IPSC Women's World Champion, Debbie James from Bristol, Connecticut. Debbie also won her 2nd USPSA national title last year in Barry, Illinois.
Do you find that the IPSC sport, the running and gunning, the motion, does that help and favor your style of shooting?
Yeah, that favors my style of shooting because I think when you're standing in one place thinking about what you have to do in steel, sometimes it can get to you, it can play on the mental part of the game. when you're trying to, you're reloading and moving from one stage to the other, I think you're letting your body just flow a little bit more. And here, when you're standing in one spot, you have a tendency to start to talk to yourself and think about that draw, and is it going to be good? Is it going to be sharp out of the holster? And it might not be.
Debbie James shows that she is just as adept at steel courses as she is with the IPSC courses. She completes the stage with a nice time, 14.42 seconds. From the women's IPSC World Champion to the men's IPSC World Champion, here's Robbie Latham.
Stand by.
Rob Latham now operates the Latham Shooting Institute in Mesa, Arizona. Besides being the top practical shooter in the world, he is renowned for his teaching abilities. For information on Rob Latham's classes, either in Mesa or at your home range, contact Rob Latham at P.O. Box 1291 in Mesa, Arizona, 85201.
Shooters ready. Stand by.
Rob Latham finishes up with the fastest run of the day, 2.86 seconds. Here it is in slow motion. His combined time of 9.45 seconds puts him in second place behind 17-year-old wonder kid Jeffro Dionisio from the Philippines. Doug Koenig is third, Michael Voigt fourth, and Lou Gosnell is fifth. Chip McCormick came in eighth place, Angelo Spagnoli 10th, Debbie James was 115th, Susan Cooper 125th, Diane Lamb 132nd, Shirley Hamilton 144th, Judy Smith 160th, Tammy Madigan 207th, and Tammy Starks 232nd out of 275 shooters. In our next stage, the Vic International Roundabout, the contestant stands in the shooting box facing the targets and upon the start command draws and engages the plates at 7 and 15 yards. They may be hit in any order except the stop plate at 10 yards, which must be hit last. Failure to hit the stop plate will result in an automatic 30-second run. A 5-second penalty will be added to the shooter's time for any other plate not hit and for a premature start. Up first is Michael Cundiff from Roanoke, Virginia. Mike is part of the on-target team along with defending world's women's champion, Susan Cooper.
Stand by. Stand by. Stand by.
Mike Cundiff starts off with a couple of good runs. His total time, 11.10 seconds. Next up is a former champion of the Steel Challenge, John Shaw. John is one of the top shooters in the world today. He has won the USPSA Nationals, the Steel Challenge, the Soldier of Fortune 3-gun match, and is placed in the top 5 of every major pistol match in the world. This is his first match after taking off a couple of years from competitive shooting, devoting more time to his shooting school. He operates the Mid-South Institute of Self-Defense Shooting, otherwise known as MISS, in Memphis, Tennessee. For more information on classes, contact John Shaw at 503 Stonewall, Memphis, Tennessee, 38112.
Stand by. Stand by. Stand by. Stand by.
John Shaw shows that a couple years off didn't hurt his competitive drive one bit. He completes the Vic International Roundabout stage with a combined time of 10.5 seconds. Up next is another firearms instructor, Angelo Spagnoli. Spagnoli, along with Stu Mullins, run the Firearms Training Institute in Northern California. For class information, contact Stu or Angelo at P.O. Box 2239, Petaluma, California, 94953.
Stand by. Stand by. Stand by. Stand by.
Angelo Spagnoli takes over the lead on the Vic International Roundabout stage with a combined time of 10.39 seconds. Next up is the 1987 Steel Challenge champion, Jerry Barnhart. Jerry was one of the last of a breed, shooting a 45 ACP in major competition. He won the Steel Challenge, the action event at the Masters, and the USPSA Nationals in 1987 with a 45 caliber automatic. He has now switched over to the 38 Super and has been shooting very well with it. Jerry Barnhart's 38 Super was smoking on his first run, 2.18 seconds. Now that's incredible. It's the fastest run so far.
Stand by. Stand by. Stand by.
Jerry finishes with a total time of 10.49 seconds. Up next is Joe Hamilton from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Joe has been coming to the Steel Challenge for the past 3 years.
Stand by. Stand by. Stand by.
Joe Hamilton shows that Louisiana shooters are also fast. His total time, 10.86 seconds. Now here's the winner of the Masters last year, Ken Tapp, 57-year-old Ken Tapp from Winchester, Kentucky.
Stand by. Stand by. Stand by.
57-year-old Ken Tapp shows you don't have to slow down when you add a couple years. His total time, 10.95 seconds. Now, here's Robbie Latham.
Stand by. Stand by. Stand by.
Rob Latham just kept getting faster with each run. His combined time of 10.16 seconds puts him in the lead on this stage. But when this next shooter is up, the lead is never safe. Here's Brian Enos from Mesa, Arizona.
Stand by. Stand by. Stand by. Stand by.
Brian Enos takes the lead away from Rob Latham by just 9/100ths of a second, less time than it takes for you to blink an eye. Our last shooter is another speed demon, Michael Voigt from Dinuba, California.
Stand by. Stand by. Stand by.
Michael Voigt comes through with a great time of 10.01 seconds as the standings of the Vic International Roundabout get shuffled once more. Michael Voigt takes over first place. Brian Enos is second. Robbie Latham comes in third, all separated by 15/100ths of a second. Ted Bonnet is fourth, and J. Michael Plaxco is fifth. Angelo Spagnoli is sixth. Jerry Barnhart comes in eighth. John Shaw ninth. Joe Hamilton 15th, Ken Tapp 16th, and Michael Cundiff 20th. Looking at the standings after the first two events, Rob Latham is leading the pack. In second place, Jethro Dionisio. Third belongs to Michael Voigt. J. Michael Plaxco is in fourth, and Angelo Spagnoli is in fifth, as the competition is heating up here in the Steel Challenge. As we continue with the 1989 Steel Challenge, also known as the World Speed Shooting Championships, we find ourselves at our next event, the Colt Speed Option. In this stage, the shooter stands facing the targets and upon the start signal, draws and engages the round plates at 8, 10, and 15 yards. The plate at 25 yards is an option plate, hence the name Speed Option. If the option plate is hit, a bonus of 2 seconds will be deducted from the contestant's time. The bonus will only be awarded once per run and only if all other round targets and the stop plate are hit. The 4 12-inch plates may be hit in any order, but the contestant must engage the stop plate last. Failure to hit the stop plate will result in an automatic 30-second run. A 5-second penalty will be added onto the time for each run with a missed target or premature start. Currently up is Chip McCormick from Austin, Texas.
Stand by. Stand by. Stand by.
Chip McCormick had some problems on that last run. This gives him a total time of 7.29 seconds. Up next is J. Michael Plaxco. Mike was the first person to win the Steel Challenge, the USPSA Nationals, and the Second Chance Bowling Pin Shoot, all in the same year.
Stand by. Stand by.
Yoko Shimomura. Yoko has been in the United States for the past 3 months practicing for this match and the upcoming Bianchi Cup. Since handguns are not allowed in her home country of Japan, her complete practice regimen has been here in the United States.
Stand by. Stand by. Stand by.
Yoko turns in some very nice times with her revolver. Her 4 runs that count add up to 11.57 seconds. Now, let's see what some serious revolver shooting is all about. Here's Jerry Michalik from Gramercy, Louisiana. Last year, Jerry had the fastest single runs in 3 different stages here at the Steel Challenge, all with a revolver.
Stand by. Stand by. Stand by.
Now that's his fastest time yet. Let's take a look at that again in slow motion so we can see how he works that revolver. Now that is the way a wheel gun should be shot. Jerry finishes with a total time of 6.21 seconds. Pretty incredible with a revolver. Now stepping up to the line is Jerry Barnhart. Jerry has also turned to teaching shooting with his school, the Barnhart Unlimited Shooting Sports Institute. For information on how you can take lessons from one of the world's best, contact Jerry Barnhart at 526-CW, 14 Mile Road in Clawson, Michigan, 48017.
Stand by. Stand by. Stand by. Okay, Jerry, stand by.
Now that is speed shooting at its best. 5 targets in .92 seconds, counting the option plate. That gives Jerry a total time of 6.59 seconds. So looking at the final results, Angelo Spagnoli took the Colt speed option very seriously and turned the speed on. He takes first place with a sub-5 second combined time. 17-year-old Aaron Bush comes in second. David Alba third, Doug Koenig fourth, and Michael Voigt is fifth. J. Michael Blacksco is seventh, Jerry Michalik 8th, Jerry Barnhart 13th, Chip McCormick came in 18th, and Yoko Shimomura comes in 126th. Speed shooting is not limited to handguns. Here at the Steel Challenge, there are also stages using rifles and shotguns. In this next event, the Winchester Rifle Stage, the shooter stands with the muzzle of his rifle resting on the bar in front of him. At the start command, the shooter engages the plates downrange, which vary from 40 yards out to 75 yards out. There are 3 different stages in this event. Each will be shot once. All 3 runs will be combined for the shooter's total score. At this stage, there are no throwaway runs, and there are 2 different categories, .308 caliber and .223 caliber. Up first is one of the many rising stars on the practical shooting horizon, Doug Koenig from Doylestown, Pennsylvania. Doug is shooting a Springfield Armory SAR-48 in .308 caliber.
Stand by. Stand by.
As you can see, this is much more difficult than the pistol stages. Doug Koenig finishes with a combined time of 30.23 seconds. In the past several months, semi-automatic rifles have come under attack by the anti-gunners. As this competition shows, semi-automatic firearms are the mainstream of competitive shooters. The National Rifle Association is fighting this attempt to deprive us all of our constitutional right to keep and bear arms. I had a chance to speak with J. Warren Cassidy, the executive vice president of the NRA, and asked him what we can do as individuals and competitive shooters to stop this attack on law-abiding firearms owners.
Well, I think the first thing you can do is, and I'm sure you are, but all shooters who are not NRA members should join. We have fought this battle across the country. We have been involved, in fact, I'll mention it at my presentation tonight at the banquet. We've been involved in 15 or 16 states. We've defeated almost all the legislation. Some of it is still in committee, but we expect it'll die in committee. But these are different states. You read about the California signing by Governor Deukmejian, which was a tragic thing the other day. But in most cases, we win. If all shooters in this country, if a larger percentage of the 70 million firearms owners in the United States joined the National Rifle Association, we would defeat every piece of the legislation. We would have defeated the California legislation. That was more difficult, of course, because Governor Deukmejian announced that he was not running for re-election. And that takes away the strongest clout that the National Rifle Association has, which is its members' strength and enthusiasm at the polls and in campaigns, political campaigns. I think that's the biggest thing we can do. ILA, Institute for Legislative Action, has done a wonderful job. They have sent out many fundraisers this year, and they have been very successful. As I say, an element of the shooting family fraternity who I suspect never thought their particular disciplines or interest would be affected, now are being affected.
Are you an NRA member? You should be. For further information on the NRA, write the National Rifle Association at 1600 Rhode Island Avenue Northwest, Washington, D.C. 20036. Make the calls and write the letters now. Don't let the lawful gun owner become an extinct part of the American way of life. Our next shooter at the Winchester Rifle Stage is Joe Hamilton.
Stand by.
Nice shooting by Joe Hamilton. His 3 runs add up to 29.06 seconds. Next up is the wheel gun master, Jerry Michalik. Let's see how fast he is with a semi-automatic rifle.
Stand by. Stand by.
Jerry shows that he can shoot a semi-auto. It just has to be in rifle form. He wins the Winchester Rifle Stage with a combined time of 20.68 seconds and blows away the competition doing it. Winchester not only sponsored the Rifle Stage, they also backed the 5 to Go pistol event. In this stage, the contestant stands facing the targets and, upon the start signal, draws and engages the 10-inch plates in any order. The time will stop when the 12-inch stop plate is hit. As with the stages yesterday, an automatic time of 30 seconds is assessed for each string in which the stop plate is not hit. There is also a 5-second penalty for each 10-inch plate missed and for a premature start. Now shooting is Federal Agent Rick Castello from Murfreesboro, Tennessee.
Stand by. Stand by.
Rick Castello finishes with a combined time of 15.61 seconds. Next up is defending women's champion Susan Cooper. Susan, along with women's IPSC champion Debbie James and former world champion Carrie Lathwell, just appeared in a new training tape entitled Women's Guide to IPSC Shooting. This is a chance for all of you women, and especially for the non-shooting wives and girlfriends of you guys out there, to learn from the 3 top IPSC women pistol shooters in the world. To order this action-packed and informative tape, call 1-800-942-TAPE. In California, 619-569-4000. That's mail order video. Now back to Speed and Steel with Susan Cooper.
Stand by. Stand by. Stand by.
Susan Cooper completes the Winchester 5 to Go stage with a total time of 18.88 seconds. Just back from the rifle range, here is Jerry Michalik.
Stand by. Stand by. Stand by.
It doesn't look like the cylinder of his Smith & Wesson Model 27 ever stopped turning during that last run. He has the fastest single run of the day so far at 2.95 seconds. His combined time of 12.33 seconds also gives him first place right now. Next up is the 1987 Women's Steel Challenge winner, Michelle Griggs from Texas.
Stand by. Stand by. Stand by. Stand by.
Michelle's not very happy with her performance on that last run. That gives her a total time of 20.92 seconds. Here's Jerry Barnhart up next.
Stand by. Stand by. Stand by.
With runs like that, you can see why Jerry Barnhart dominated the professional shooting circuit in 1987. Jerry Barnhart replaces Jerry Michalik with the fastest time of the day. His 4 runs total up to 12.62 seconds. Our next shooter is now up on the line. Here she is, Shirley Hamilton.
Stand by. Shooter's ready. Stand by. Stand by.
Shirley is really shooting smooth this year. She completes the Winchester 5 to go stage with a combined time of 15.46 seconds. Next up is Debbie James.
Stand by. Stand by. Stand by.
This stage is really going to hurt Debbie. She finishes a full 6 seconds behind Shirley Hamilton. She's going to have to shoot extremely fast on the remaining stages if she's going to add another World Championship to her trophy wall. Our next shooter has 2 World Championship trophies on his wall.
Ready.
Here he is,
Stand
Chip
by.
McCormick.
Stand by. Stand by. Stand by.
Chip McCormick comes through with a time of 12.14 seconds. He wins the Winchester 5 to go stage with 4 consistent runs, the same way he won the championship last year. Jerry Michalik comes in second, Brian Enos third, Jerry Barnhart fourth, and Frank Garcia is fifth. Shirley Hamilton comes in 42nd, Rick Castello is 49th, Susan Cooper 141st, Michelle Griggs 180th, and Debbie James 192nd. Our next event, the Taurus Outer Limits, is the second stage in this year's Steel Challenge where the shooters must move to a different box during each run. Right-handed shooters will always start in the left box, and left-handed shooters will always start in the right box. Upon the start signal, the competitors will draw and engage the 25-yard and 40-yard targets on their side of the center line. The shooter will then move to the center box and engage the 25-yard and 40-yard targets on the other side of the center line, and then engage the stop plate, which is placed at 20 yards. Both feet must be inside the shooting box when the shots are fired. A time of 30 seconds will be assessed if the stop plate is not hit. There will be a 5-second penalty for premature starts, each target not hit, each shot fired without both feet inside the shooting box, and each shot fired on the wrong side of the center line. In this stage, the competitors will be shooting only 3 times, with the best 2 counting towards the total. Our first shooter is John Shaw.
Stand by.
John Shaw completes the Taurus Outer Limits stage with a combined time of 11.33 seconds. Next up is one of the most consistent shooters on the circuit, Brian Enos. Brian Enos takes over the lead of the stage with a great time, 9.9 seconds. Our next shooter, here he is, Angelo Spagnoli.
Stand by.
Spagnoli finishes with a combined time of 10.35 seconds. Up next is the shooter who Rob Latham says will become the next great pistol shooter. It's Doug Koenig.
Stand by.
Doug runs through the Taurus Outer Limits with 2 consistent runs. His total time, 10.67 seconds. Now, here's our current leader, Rob Latham.
Last round. Shooter ready. Stand by.
Robbie Latham comes through with 2 sub-5-second runs. He takes over the lead on the Taurus Outer Limits with a great combined time of 9.8 seconds. But now, here's Mr. Revolver himself, Jerry Michalik.
Stand by.
Jerry Michalik completes the Taurus Outer Limits stage with an excellent time of 9.68 seconds. Now that's incredible, but it puts him in second place behind Jethro Dionisio. Robbie Latham is bumped down to third place, Brian Enos fourth, Ted Bonnet comes in fifth. Angelo Spagnoli ends up in 7th place, Doug Koenig 13th, and John Shaw is 19th. Looking at the overall results after 5 events, Angelo Spagnoli has a slight lead over Jerry Michalik. Robbie Latham is in 3rd. In 4th place is Brian Enos, and Jerry Barnhart is in 5th place. There is still plenty of action yet to come, so stay with us as we find out who will be the 1989 Steel Challenge World Speed Shooting Champion. We begin the last day of the 1989 Steel Challenge with the Ernie Hill Speed Leather Shooting Star Industries Triple Threat Stage. In this event, the shooter draws and places 1 shot on each plate at 6 and 8 yards. The stop plate at 10 yards is the last one to be hit. Failure to hit the stop plate will result in an automatic 15-second time. A 5-second penalty will be added to each run with a premature start and each of the first 2 targets not hit. Our first shooter is Harry Takahashi from Japan. Harry is such a dedicated speed shooter. He quits his job each year at this time, so he's able to come to the United States to practice for and compete in the Steel Challenge.
Stand by. Stand by. Stand by.
Harry shows that his practice has paid off with a nice time of 7.71 seconds. Imagine how he could do if he had access to his handgun 12 months out of the year. All of the Japanese shooters here must leave their firearms in the United States since they are illegal in their own home country. I hope we never get to that stage. Now, next up is another Japanese shooter, Yoko Shimomura.
Stand by. Stand by. Stand by. Okay.
Yoko has become a favorite of all of the shooters here this year. With shooting like that, she may also become this year's champion. She finishes with a combined time of 8.85 seconds. Next up is one of the persons responsible for many of the Japanese shooters being here at this year's Steel Challenge, Ichiro Nagata. You may recognize his name from American Handgunner magazine. He is the very talented photographer who brings you many of the outstanding photographs that American Handgunner is becoming known for. You can even see some of his excellent work on the cover of this very tape.
Stand by. Stand by. Stand by.
Ichiro Nagata shows that he can handle his Smith & Wesson as well as his Nikon. He comes through with a time of 8.86 seconds. That, by the way, is 1/100th of a second behind Yoko, so you can see how well she is shooting. Up next is one of Arizona's top women shooters, Kippy Boykin.
Shooters ready. Stand by. Stand by. Stand by. Clear it out.
Kippy finishes with her fastest run.
Hammer down,
Her
holster.
combined time is
Line's clear.
9.05 seconds. Now, here's Michelle Griggs. Let's see how she does at the
Shooters
Ernie
ready.
Hill Shooting Star
Stand
Triple
by.
Threat stage.
Shooters ready. Stand by. Stand by. Shooters ready. Stand by. Clear it out.
Michelle shoots a very consistent 7.98 seconds. The key to winning this tournament is consistency. So Michelle has a very good shot at winning the championships once again. Our next shooter is Tammy Madigan.
Stand by. Stand by. Stand by. Clear it out.
Tammy Madigan finishes with her fastest run. This gives her a combined time of 8.88 seconds. Now, stepping up to the line is Tammy Starks from San Diego, California.
Stand by. Stand by. Stand by.
Tammy's last run is her best, but she had some problems with her earlier runs. Her combined time is 13.61 seconds. Next up is our women's leader, Shirley Hamilton.
Ready. Stand by. Stand by. Stand by.
Shirley Hamilton completes the triple threat stage with a combined time of 9.52 seconds. Our next shooter is one of the fastest, most accurate shooters in the world, Brian Enos. Later on, we'll determine who is the fastest shooter of the top 20 finishers in the Lenny McGill Blast for Cash. But right now, here's Brian Enos at triple threat.
Stand by. Stand by.
As you can see in the slow motion replay, Enos turned it on in that last run. Incredibly, 1.35 seconds for 3 shots, the fastest on this stage yet.
Stand by.
Brian Enos finishes with a total time of 6.71 seconds. Our last shooter here at Triple Threat is Michael Voigt.
Stand by. Stand by. Stand by.
Michael Voigt continues his hot shooting, moving into 5th place in the Ernie Hill Speed Leather Shooting Star Industries Triple Threat stage with a total time of 6.37 seconds. Jethro Dionisio wins his 3rd stage. Keep in mind that Jethro is 17 years old. Frank Garcia is in 2nd. John Dixon 3rd. Robert Fakori 4th. Brian Enos comes in 21st, so you can see how tight the competition really is. Harry Takahashi 75th. Michelle Griggs 85th. Yoko Shimamura 130th. Ichiro Nagata 132nd. Tammy Madigan 133rd. Kippy Boykin 140th, Shirley Hamilton 166th, and Tammy Starks comes in 253rd. Taking a break from the pistol match, here is the 5 easy popper stage of the Mossberg shotgun event. In this stage, the shooter stands facing the targets with the muzzle of the shotgun resting on a table in front of the shooting box. At the start signal, the shooter will engage the 4 popper targets in any order, then the stop popper to stop the time. There will be a 5-second penalty for each popper left standing, each premature start, and for hitting the stop popper before the other plates. Our first shooter is Jerry Michalik.
Stand by. Stand by. Stand by.
Jerry runs through the shotgun stage as easily as he does the pistol and rifle stages, showing that he is truly a well-rounded shooter. His 4 runs add up to 8.21 seconds. Next up is last year's winner of the shotgun stage and the shotgun shoot-offs, J. Michael Plaxco.
Stand by. Stand by. Stand by.
J. Michael shows why he is known as one of the fastest shotgunners in the world. He finishes with a time of 8.29 seconds. The 1989 Steel Challenge is coming to an end, but it is still a tight race. Angelo Spagnoli has a slight lead. The difference between first and fifth place is now less than 2 seconds. It all comes down to a showdown at the Safariland Showdown stage. In this stage, the shooter starts in either of the 2 shooting boxes facing the targets. At the start signal, the competitor will draw and place 1 shot on each target, hitting the stop plate last. This stage will be shot twice from one side and 3 times from the other. A 5-second penalty will be assessed for each missed target and a premature start. Our first shooter is currently in 10th place overall. Here he is, J. Michael Plaxco.
Stand by. Stand by. Stand by.
Plaxco finishes with a very strong stage. His combined time of 11.21 seconds puts him in first place in this stage so far. Next up is the shooter who is in 3rd place overall,
Stand by.
Brian Enos.
Shooter ready. Stand by. Shooter ready. Stand by. Shooter ready. Stand by.
Enos comes through with a great combined time of 11.04 seconds. He takes over the lead on this stage and for the overall championships. Brian should be happy with that run. This is one match that he would really like to win. Up next is the shooter who was in 2nd place before this stage started. His name is Robbie Latham.
Stand by. Ready. Stand by. Shooter ready. Stand by. Ready. Stand by.
Latham had some problems on this stage. His combined time of 11.6 seconds drops him into 2nd place behind Brian Enos. Next up is the shooter who was leading before Brian Enos bumped him from the top spot, Angelo Spagnoli. He is the only shooter left with a chance to catch Brian. He must shoot a time of 11.79 seconds or less and an average of 2.95 seconds. He can do it in practice for sure. Let's see how he can shoot under match pressure.
By. Stand by. Stand by.
After that last run, Angelo's total time is now 8.68 seconds. He needs to shoot his last run in 3.11 seconds or less. A year of practice and 3 days of competition come down to 1 draw and 5 steel plates. Let's see how it turns out. Angelo Spagnoli has done it. He is the 1989 World Speed Shooting Champion. You know it was that close when you got up to the line?
No, really, no. I didn't think that. I thought that Brian was. Robbie was going to be second. The way I looked at it, so I kind of just took it real easy because I knew I had a cushion going into it, slight cushion, half second, and I figured he shot an 11.6. I mean, I could shoot a 12, pretty easily. So I figured, just go for it. Go kind of conservative.
Well, you won by 0.27 seconds.
I know, that's scary, isn't it? Yeah, I didn't realize that. Yeah, now I do.
How's it feel?
I'm glad I did. It feels just fantastic, I'm glad to share it with my father. Yeah.
Okay, well, you've shot better scores in practice. You had a 66 the other day. They finished with a 67 today.
Well, if you can give me even close to your practice scores here, I think you're doing okay. I shot pretty much the same I shoot in practice. I didn't push. I can shoot faster if I push, but there's no reason to because you can't do it here. That's the way I practice, and I practice cold. I don't say, one run. I just shoot once, and then I go home.
Now, this is a good title. It's the World Speed Shooting Champion. Does that mean a lot to you?
Very much so, yes. I love it. It's
Is it foggy or is that?
well, they're not foggy, but almost. I came that far away because I've been trying a long time, like I said, and the practice has paid off, and I love it.
Looking at the overall standings in the Safariland Showdown stage, Jerry Michalik comes in first, Brian Enos is second, J. Michael Plaxco comes in third, Todd Jarrett is fourth, and Joe Hamilton fifth. Our overall winner, Angelo Spagnoli, comes in 8th place, and Rob Latham is in 9th. In the final standings for the 1989 Steel Challenge World Speed Shooting Championships, Angelo Spagnoli wins by a margin of 27/100ths of a second, just over a quarter of a second. Brian Enos is in 2nd place. Rob Latham, 0.3 of a second back, is in 3rd place. Doug Koenig repeats his performance of last year with a 4th place win again, and last year's winner, Chip McCormick, comes in 5th place. On the women's side, Shirley Hamilton from San Diego, California, hung on to defeat Michelle Griggs. Yoko Shimomura came in 3rd. Last year's winner, Susan Cooper, is 4th, and Tammy Madigan, 5th. I had a chance to speak to the women's speed shooting champion, Shirley Hamilton. Shirley Hamilton from San Diego, you are the women's speed champion, the world speed champion. How's it feel?
Oh my, I guess it's just kind of nice because I've taken 3rd so many times. It's nice to be 1st.
Well, you've been shooting this event for, what, 6 years?
Well, I think we shot it in '84 and then we missed a couple of years, and then this is the 3rd year in a row, so we've done it 4 times.
Okay, and you've certainly done your share of homework. You've trained a lot. Tell me about that. You deserve to win, don't you?
I like to think so. Last year, I shot something like 8,000 rounds for the match, and I think that you grow to expect too much. And this year, we just shot a few practice matches, and it felt much better coming in. You don't get too upset then if you screw up a stage or do something you don't want to do.
Now don't go away. The best is yet to come. Next up is the Springfield Armory Man vs. Man and Women vs. Women shoot-off. And the Let It All Hang Out Blast for Cash. The 1989 Steel Challenge has been completed. We have crowned a new champion in Angelo Spagnoli, but the tournament is not over. The traditional shoot-offs have become a favorite with the crowds at matches like this. The top 8 women and top 16 men go against each other side by side for an additional $2,500 in cash. This is the fun part for the spectators, but the shooters still take it seriously. And with that kind of money up for grabs, I don't blame them. Our first match pits Susan Cooper against Debbie James. Debbie James wins the first run with a time of 2.7 seconds. Debbie James sweeps Susan Cooper 2-0. She will now advance to the finals against Yoko Shimomura. In her first tournament, Yoko almost did the impossible, become the world champion. That would be like a totally unknown tennis player winning Wimbledon. This is one woman who the shooting world will be hearing a lot from in the upcoming years. Since this is the finals, the match will be the best 3 out of 5. Here she is in her first run against Debbie James. Debbie wins that first run. Her time, 3.7 seconds. The score stands at 1-0. Debbie James makes it 2-0 with a time of 2.88 seconds. Yoko needs a win to stay alive in this match. Debbie James once again sweeps her opponent. Her time of 3.11 seconds gives her the Springfield Armory Woman vs. Woman Shoot-Offs Championships. Happy Debbie James is congratulated by her husband, Russ. Next up is the Man vs. Man Shoot-Offs. Our first match has perennial shoot-off winner Rob Latham going against Michael Voigt. As past viewers know, this is where Rob really excels, but Michael has been burning up the stages lately. Here they are in their first run. Michael Voigt wins the first stage. His time, 2.39 seconds.
Stand by.
Voigt takes the match with a time of 2.24 seconds. It looks like the rest of the world may be catching up to Rob Latham. Michael Voigt advances to the finals against Doug Koenig.
Stand by.
Koenig wins the first round. His time, 2.12 seconds. Now that's pretty fast.
Stand by.
Doug Koenig makes it 2-0 with a run of 2.37 seconds. Voigt's got to win this one to stay in this match.
Stand by.
Michael Voigt comes right back. His time, 3.08 seconds. The score is now 2-1.
Stand by.
Michael Voigt evens out the match with a time of 2.15 seconds. This next run will determine the winner of the match.
Stand by.
Doug Koenig comes through with the fastest time of the day, 2.03 seconds. He is the 1989 Springfield Armory shoot-off winner. Congratulations, Doug Koenig.
Hey, Doug. Impressive, babe.
Shooter ready.
Okay, we've saved the best for last. It is time to bring the speed demons out of the shooting bags and let them loose on the blast for cash. Throughout the match, the shooters have had the option of throwing one run out. This gave them a chance to make a mistake. We thought that if instead of counting 4 out of 5 runs, what if they only counted 1 run? 1 run out of 5 for all the money. The top 20 finishers will face off against the double trouble stage for $500 in cash. Winner take all. In the stage, the shooter will stand facing 2 plates set at 7 yards. At the start command, the shooter will draw and place 1 shot on each plate, with the top plate being the stop plate. Last year on this stage, Jerry Barnhart had the fastest time with 1.06 seconds. Now that was during the regular match, so the shooters had 1 throwaway run. This year, they get 4 throwaways. I have a feeling that they'll have to beat that time to win the cash. Now here's our first shooter, Jerry Michlik. Jerry sets the time to beat with a smoking 1.09 seconds. Next up is the wonder kid from the Philippines, 17-year-old Jethro Dionisio. Jethro bumps Jerry Michlik from the top spot with a time of 1.06 seconds. Now here's Ted Bonnet from Texas. Ted Bonnet shaves another 1/100th of a second with a time of 1.05 seconds. Where's it going to stop? Let's find out. Here's Jeff Wassam. Wassam takes it down another notch. His time, 1.04 seconds. Now here's J. Michael Plaxco.
What do you think's going to win this one?
I said I'd go low 90, probably 92, 93. We'll see.
Stand by.
Plaxco continues the trend, going down just a little bit more. His time of 1.03 seconds puts him in the lead right now. Let's see if Rob Latham can beat that.
I may not hit a target, but it'll be fast.
Stand right.
New leader, Robbie Latham. First shot time was 81/100ths of a second. 2-shot time, 1.00.
Latham takes the lead with a time of 1 second flat. That's 6/100ths of a second faster than the fastest time last year. That will be a tough time to beat. But if any person can do it, it's our next shooter. Here's Brian Enos.
The secret is to haul ass.
Balls to the wall.
Balls to the wall.
Stand by.
Brian Enos comes through with the fastest time ever recorded on this stage. 0.93 seconds, 2 shots from the draw. That gives him the Blast for Cash title and a check for $500 cash from Mail Order Video. That calls for a second look in slow motion. As the 1989 Steel Challenge comes to a close, I would like to congratulate Brian Enos for winning the Lenny McGill Blast for Cash. The shoot-off winners, Doug Koenig and Debbie James, and the 1989 World Speed Shooting Champions, Shirley Hamilton and Angelo Spagnoli. This has been a great tournament run by a fantastic crew. Thanks to the match organizers, Don Hamilton and John Madigan, J.D. Stewart, and all the range officials for their assistance. For the entire production crew, I'm Lenny McGill. Until next time, safe shooting.